Hi everyone, how you going? So I'm just looking through the net tonight, and I happened to come across a comments from a thing called Australian Better Families Party. Wow, I can tell you now, I won't be voting for this party at all. So they've picked up the picture from 7:30 on the article about the cashless debit card. And yeah, they definitely support the card. So I'll read his little his little write-up. There's an easy fix for welfare recipients who do not like the cashless debit card as part of their welfare payment. Get a job. This is a party who's building up, getting ready for the federal election, okay? So I'm going to have a bit of fun here. Welfare should not be a career choice where you get to live off working Australians. Welfare, it's there as a safety net to help transition you from periods of unemployment to employment while meeting the basic financial needs to feed and house you. It's like there's a mentality here if you only don't have bread and water and you can live in the tent shack out the back or in a tent on the grass, okay? We believe that the card is a positive step in reducing drug and alcohol abuse. Well, they don't know much about the card, do they? We also believe that if you're on welfare, that you should be required to contribute as a community employee and provide labour services to working families in your community. So you need to be slaves to other working families, so that you can earn your little pittance. So the wealthy nobles will, you can go in and clean their home for them and clean their toilet for them. They can pat you on the head and you get your little pittance, and it's forcibly income managed, and you don't have any dignity and you don't have any say. You're just a slave. Right? So, so here's his policy snapshot. Community employment. Our community employment policy will ensure Australians on welfare are provided with training opportunities and paid work in roles that support working families in their community. How much pay is he going to pay? Is he going to pay award wages? Right? Because if that's the case, then a lot of those people, if it was a proper full-time job, or is he going to say, no, you're getting paid the dole and that's it? So I was adding some comments to this, right? One of the comments I put was, so this party supports domestic violence, especially against women, as this card impacts single parents, carers of disabled children and elderly. Financial abuse is listed as domestic violence, right? And yet Indian Services Australia are okay to do the same to forced income management people who have not even had their day in court to prove that they're capable. And I was put here, see, this card bypasses all the laws, deems everybody incapable without a fair trial. Yet a prisoner sitting in prison convicted of a crime has all their rights intact. Yet being on the cashless debit card even removes a person's statutory rights. How can you support that unless you're just another LNP One Nation party? Right? So, other people have made comments too. So I've challenged him. What's his version of work for the dole? Because the current version sees white people working 25 hours a week for many businesses that are for profit, right? 6 months of the year with no workers' comp protections, no award wages, no super. And then we see our First Nations consigned to work for the dole, the CDP, which is the Commonwealth Development Program, for 25 weeks of the year, right, with the same loss of workers' protections for 48 weeks of the year. How much more free labour are you wanting to get out of Australians? Seems you don't support a job guarantee with good wages or positive, just punitive slavery, starting to sound very much like the LNP, right? And I've also added on here, also, First Nations people have to ask permission to be able to visit other communities or towns for ceremony or medical, and they have to present at that town's Centrelink to sign in order to retain their payments. Even being late for CDP will see them cut off for 8 weeks, right? Many have no support transport and work in plus 52 degrees centigrade. So you support slavery too. Off to a great start, aren't you? Right? So whoever this party is, a lot of people said straight away that he's lost, that they've lost. They were supporting, but they're not supporting. So it's right wing. This is very right leaning, right? Yeah, but straight away people have said, no, we're not supporting this. The rare comments that he's commented back have just been mean, you know what I mean? You know, he's Leith Erickson is his name. If you can't work because of disability, common sense suggests the safety net's for you. But then why do people need to be on the cashless debit card? Right? So, Daniel Waters says, you have no integrity. Imagine being put on the card just because you have Aboriginal blood in you. Well, that's where it started, but imagine now being put on the cashless debit card just because of the postcode you live in. It doesn't go on about the colour of your skin. Now, it's about what postcode you live in. Right? But it is racist because the majority of people that it impacts are our First Nations people. So it's no good somebody called Daniel Waters having a go. You have no integrity. Imagine being put on the card. Are you having a go at me? Because the card does not discriminate against. It doesn't care what colour your skin is, what religion you are, where you come from, your sexuality. But at the moment, it is racist towards First Nations people. But there's still about 7,000 people who are not Aboriginal on the card, right? And they're chosen purely because of their postcode. So don't come at me about that, okay? Whoever Daniel Waters is, I don't know. Yelling at me, you have no integrity. Whatever, okay, I'm going to move on with this because at the moment I'm talking about this so-called Australian Better Families Party. Oh, hang on. Oh, thank you for clarifying that, Daniel Waters. It wasn't having a go at me. But, and it's disgusting that they take the kids because they're doing it more now than what they did with the stolen generation. Yeah, and now it's postcode. So, Nikki says, this is Australian Brotherhood of Fathers. Okay, I don't know who they are. But anyway, I'm going to carry on reading from here. So he goes on, yet too many people are able to work, choose not to, and then complain when part of their welfare payment is quarantined to ensure the rent is paid and there's food in the fridge. If you can't support this, you're taking advantage of the system that was set up as a safety net, not a lifestyle choice. He has no clue about what's going on with social services, social security, and what's going on with our economy, what's going on with how many people we have disabled, right? He has no idea, right? He's just looking at this from a right-wing ideological, bigoted point of view. Sounds very One Nation and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But there was something else that I saw in the comments that really I didn't like. I don't like the way he seems to think slavery is the answer and punitive approach is the answer. This is not the way to get a political party off the ground, is it? Do you know what I mean? After I've finished having a go at him about this, because I'm looking at, so he's got he's sharing a lot of stuff from Craig Kelly's page, hydrochloric, whatever. We don't get into that, right? Very Trumpian posts about Australian Brotherhood of Fathers stuff on the page. Basically, I don't see anything positive on the page at all, except for support from some really nutty people. Yeah, not a good start for them to try and get votes. So, of course, they'll say and do anything to try and get some votes. But all their votes will just go LNP anyway. So, yeah, so, interesting. So, okay, let's spin this on its head. What sort of party? I'm not going into politics. I don't care how many people say please. Even on TikTok, I've got people saying to me, please become an independent. Please. No. Well, no. I really would not like to have to sit in the Senate and listen to all the drivel from the other side. Right? And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put up with their shit. I couldn't put up with the way that they treat other people because I'm a humanist. And it just, I just couldn't do it. So, if I was to set up a party, I would set it up the way that I expect other parties to run. First and foremost, to hold up as a pillar to protect every Australian's human rights, international and domestic, and to protect all our legal rights and consumer rights, our rights under law. I would also set up a federal Bill of Rights that is in concrete. Right? Okay? So that every citizen is protected under law. That would be the first thing I would do. Right? I would make sure I would change so many things, or try to, but as a one-person independent, I could only put forward policies. But at least I would be able to be effective on the crossbench, I suppose, apart from having idiots like Pauline Hanson and stuff like that keep attacking people. I would boost our social services to look after people. I would not allow government responsible services to be sold and contracted out like they are now, right? Government has a role to play in order to keep up its social contract with the public, right? And in order to do that, they need to maintain the public service and they need to be responsible for all of the policies and all of the social services, the health sector, and they should not be selling it out to their mates for profits and then walking away and going, as Keith Pitt does, oh, it's just federal policy, it's nothing to do with me, and walk away. That's not a politician, in my opinion. You know what I mean? To see our people sold off and at the mercy of these private contractors. May it be Indu or Serena Rosso or Max Employment, right? They're all the same. You're sold. You're contracted to these people. You've got Indu controlling 80% of people's finances, and you've got job agencies controlling if people have the ability to even have that 80%. Because if the bus gets in late, if they've got money for a bus to get to a job agency, and bear in mind, you can't use the cashless debit card on a bus because you don't have the bus fare. They don't take the card. You know, there would be a lot of things, being a humanist that I am, that I wouldn't allow go through. And every policy would have to be based on what damage would it do to the average family. Not what it might do to the business that wants to impose the cuts to wages and the removal of penalty rates and, you know, the Chamber of Commerce. What impact would policies have on the families? That's the way I would look at it. You want to do this? If it's going to cause hardship there, no, we're not doing it. Let's do it a different way so that we can, you know, support the families better. Instead, this country is too busy supporting businesses and tax breaks and looking after their mates. And they're leaving the general public behind. Whether you're working or not. Unless you're earning, what, $250,000, $500,000 a year, forget it. You know? So, yeah, I would definitely do things a lot better if I was going to set up my own party. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not in this to become a politician. I'm in this to raise awareness and to try and create a platform where card holders can have a voice, which today I discovered another card holder has been shut down and how they're doing it, right? And it's cruel because basically every time somebody sticks their head up and tells the truth, somebody has a problem with that. But instead of blaming the people that have caused the problem, like their Chamber of Commerce or their mayor, they blame the recipient who spoke up about it, who exposed it. You know? So, yeah, this Australian Better Families Party is not very family orientated from what I can see, and definitely not into protecting Australian citizens and rights anywhere. All these sort of right-wing parties are about removing your rights and your freedoms and imposing draconian systems. Let's build more prisons. Let's have more punitive. Let's make you all slaves. It's like, oh, no, not on. So we can put that at the top of our do not to vote list when the election is called. We will have them right up there with the LNP and One Nation, right? And whoever, you know, put it this way, we've got a sign. If they vote for the cashless debit card, you don't vote for them. Simple as that. You know what I mean? All right, so yeah. Interesting, hey? Dan says, Keith Pitt says, no one goes to his office. We've been outside his office and we've had card holders go in his office and just get turned away. He's been fronted in public by plenty of card holders and they've just been fobbed off. Jules Raynaud can't pay for bus fares with the India card. That's right. None of our regional buses take the card. So you need to have cash. That makes it very difficult, especially if you're on youth allowance. And if you're on the base rate of youth allowance, you'll only be getting $60 a fortnight in cash anyway. It's not enough to do anything. So, yeah. I just thought I'd come on and have this little conversation with you guys. It's quite disturbing to find a party that's openly supporting. Basically, they're saying it right there. They openly support domestic violence against women. Right, with the way that this card is playing out, it predominantly impacts women more than anything because they're the primary caregivers, single parents, and they're the carers for disabled children and disabled, elderly parents. And that doesn't matter whether you're First Nations or whether you're non-Indigenous. It comes across the same way. It's impacting women. It has severe health impacts for pregnant women because of the stress that's caused. So over the 13 years of the Basics card in the Northern Territory, it's been found that it causes low birth weights, high mortality in utero, because depending on what stage of pregnancy it is, at the time when the person is forced onto income management, the raise in stress hormones does damage to the fetus. They've proved that. That was presented at the Darwin Senate inquiry. And, so there's a lot of issues, health issues, that are attributed to the card. We had Jody up in Bundaberg had a stress-induced heart attack and now suffers from what's called broken heart syndrome. Broken heart syndrome is a factual... it's where you're under so much stress, the heart muscle physically breaks. So with Jodie, she had a heart attack. She's only 33, and she has leaking heart valves as a result. And so far, no one's doing very much to help her in that respect. And she's on Job Seeker disability stream, so she's about to crash back down to $4 a day or less and going back to tin food and pasta and not eating fruit and vegetables anymore. Yeah, so she's, you know, they really do, and she can't afford special treatments or anything like that. Yeah, I'm just, the card is classist and racist. Yeah, it's everything. It's just disgusting. It really is. Let's have a look. I'm just reading people's comments. Oh my God. The Women's Christian Temperance Union were labelled terrorists last time these bigots showed up. Wow. Wow. Well, I definitely won't be voting for them. We'll be calling for volunteers to come out with us at the polling booths. And I'm going to put that out there now. If you seriously want to volunteer with us, please let me know in the messages. We're not going to be, I'm not setting up a party, but we are able to do our own lobbying, right, at pre-polls and stuff like that. And I would appreciate volunteers all over the country to be able to do this, and we can set it all up. And yeah. Anna says, am I speaking at March for Millions on the 20th of February, Brisbane? I don't know. I don't have the details of that. Can you please send me the details of that, Hannah? Because I haven't heard about that one. So okay, I'm just reading comments here. Yeah, if somebody can give me the details of that March for Millions. Does the ALP support permanent increase in job seeker payment? Well, I don't know. Well, I'm not ALP, but so I can't speak for them. But they do support an increase in the job seeker payment. Yes. But they won't say how much. So, like a reporter asked me, what would I say to Albanese? All payments have to be raised, whether you're 17 or 70. All the way. All of them. All right? Because nobody can cope across the whole country. And I myself, a lot of people, a lot of groups are asking for the 550 to be retained. People going, oh, that's madness, that's crazy. Well, you need to put up the other payments in line as well. Remember, Job Seeker, or New Start as it was frozen by Johnny Howard in 1996. If that had not occurred and the indexation had been left alone, then that 550 would be its norm. The amount, you know, with the $1,176, I think it was a fortnight, would have been the normal payment had its indexation been left alone and not frozen 26 years ago or whatever it was, 27 years ago now. So with the government now freezing the pensioners' indexations, let's see if that's the same where they accidentally leave that permanently so that pensioners and disability support people, we've had our indexation frozen as well this year. It'll be interesting to see what that goes on. I'm just looking at the comments. Daniel Waters, scrap this card and its doctrine nationally. You thought Greta Thunberg was angry. I like that comment. Let's turn that into a meme. I'm finding all we can do is just keep educating people of the facts. And just every time they get a job crew stand up, well, people have got jobs and they're on the card. So that argument's mute. Simple as that. And that shuts them down too. Oh, if they're on a cut, why are they worried about money? Because trying to function and pay rent and bills when half your money's stuck on the bloody InduCard. As far as I know, it has too. Anasas, as far as I know, it has. I'm not sure. You'd have to check. One page to check with if you want Centrelink information is called the Centrelink and Other Information Group. Kim Mercer will help you with anything Centrelink on that group. But it is a closed group, but she knows her stuff back to front. She can help you with everything. Okay, so somebody's asking about public transport. Okay, so you can use it on the train from, say, like Bundy to Brisbane, and from Kalgoorlie to Perth, and from, you know, the major bus lines and stuff like that. You can't use it for regional bus, or, you know, your ordinary bus around town stuff. And bear in mind also in some regions there is no public transport. And in some regions you can't use it for taxis, and in other areas you can use it for a taxi. You can use it for Uber, but you got to watch out. We've had people that have never used Uber, because you've actually got to physically sign up for Uber, who have had money removed on the card from Uber, and they don't get that money back because Uber won't give it back, and nobody will tell them how their money went missing to Uber in the first place when the person isn't even signed up to Uber to do it. So lots of misnomers and stuff ups. So I'm just Nikki B says Westfield paid someone in gift cards the other week. That's totally illegal. You can't work for somebody, be paid in gift cards. And if they're Coles or Woolies gift cards, they're Indu gift cards. Oh, Jesus. Which come with all the same restrictions. You can't buy alcohol. I don't think you can buy cigarettes on there. Oh yeah, you can on the open ones, on the open gift cards, but you can't buy gift cards with the cashless debit card. So media called it a hack. Oh, so it's okay to be paid. That's like McDonald's is trying to get it through that it would be okay to pay their staff in food. I'm sure you rent your own, you go to your real estate with a big box of Big Macs. As if, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Dan says he doesn't trust Rex Patrick. He's up for re-election. I suggest for people who have troubles with the card, I mean, yeah, in South Australia, you talk to, I think it's Sarah Hanson-Young is the South Australian Greens. You talk to Penny Wong, oh, I can't remember, Mariah Smith, they'll help, you know, from the ALP. But I had a conversation, albeit it really got off on the wrong foot with Senator Rex Patrick, because I was in an emotional state and he rang me at the wrong time and he was really difficult to talk to. But he said to me, if any card holders got problems in South Australia, he will assist them. So it might not be a bad thing that when people need help, instead of just automatically going straight, like CC him in every email that you send to Greens or ALP. Put him in the loop, because yeah, he wants an engineering solution to it because it's too hard. I don't know what is it. I had the problem of unable to relay to him the mental impact of losing your autonomy and the human aspect of it. He was, yeah, all for finding solutions, but he couldn't see what was wrong. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to get myself in a knot here because he ended up not voting for it. You know? So, Sasha says, what on earth is that supposed to mean? In regards to what? In regards... Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, I'm just looking through these comments here. I'm just, yeah. Don't mind me if I'm still reading. So the person asked for cash for payment, but the hack was she could use it anywhere EFTPOS was used. It's illegal to pay somebody in gift vouchers. And your wages are supposed to go in the bank, or if you're paid by cash, you still need a... It's not illegal to be paid by cash, right, as long as there's a pay slip with it. As long as they're doing their PAYG and they're doing their tax stuff, all right? What experience does Indu Serco have nuts and gas like Santos? Yes, Senator Rex Patrick did use parliamentary privilege to mouth off about people. Not exactly sure who that might have been, but we're not sure. But yeah, he said he was yelled at. I didn't yell at him. All right, I didn't yell at him, but I just couldn't see him. He was very frustrating to speak to, and yeah, a store paid out their employers with vouchers. It's crazy, isn't it? But then again, we did see in the Senate they were talking about pizza delivery drivers being able to be paid in pizzas. You can't pay rent with pizzas. You can't pay bills with pizzas. You only can't pay his mortgage going in the bank with an extra large pepperoni with extra cheese, eh? Be quiet, Dan. You don't get me in any more trouble. I can do that all by myself. Did I watch the midnight press conference with... Don't mind me, I'm really tired. I had 24 hours yesterday moving my house, my daughter moving house down to Brisbane, move her, and then try and get home again. I got home at 7:30 this morning, so I'm stuffed. Yeah, we respect people's privacy, Dan. Hang on. So we're talking about the midnight press conference. I haven't watched it, but I saw something about it. But I haven't had a chance to catch up with it, so I'm going to get myself off this Families First page, because that's... Yeah, so... Oh dear. So somebody said here, why isn't the job seekers held accountable? Ashley Shepherd, what do you mean? Why aren't job seekers held accountable for what? You need to elaborate. When you ask me a question, be direct and to the point and give me the subject matter properly so that I understand what you're talking about. I have a lot of information stored up here, but if you don't give me the right information, as in ask me the question properly, you're not going to get it, okay? I can't answer the question there, why isn't job seekers held accountable? Because I don't know the context in which you're asking that question. Ashley Shepherd, so Nikki B. Yeah, somebody says wait till the big banks take over. Well, Daniel Walker's Nikki B with Serco Indu using vulnerable as an excuse to be paid before we're already paid without bigot bully scrutiny like the Nazis. Yeah. Are there any links or info about Indu card, public transport, bus, train, ferry, etc.? Not that I know of. It just falls under the category it can be used anywhere where EFTPOS is used. So I'm assuming that if you were wanting to pay for your school bus, I don't know this because I don't have a student in school anymore. My daughter used to have to pay for her school bus a It wasn't very much, but I had control of my cash. You know what I mean? If you've got no access to cash, you're starved. She would pay the driver when she got on. I'm not sure whether the office had a facility for you to be able to go in and pay EFTPOS and prepay so many weeks in advance. I don't know. All I know is, yes, you can buy train tickets and you can buy plane tickets. They may not be the cheapest with plane tickets, right? You might not be able to get the Webjet specials, as one person found out once before. I think you have to go through Travel Lodge or something, one of the travel agencies. I'm not really sure how it works. Don't know about a ferry as yet. So I haven't heard of anybody trying to use it on a ferry. Our buses up here don't take it. So people who want to travel between Hervey Bay and Maryborough, if they haven't got any cash, they're stuffed. It's not a very expensive bus fare, but they still can't do it. Same up in Bundaberg, they can't use it up there. And the buses from Howard, so like the in-between little towns like Howard, for instance, doesn't have a Centrelink office. People can't use the bus to get into Maryborough, Hervey Bay, or Childers from there, you know what I mean? So you're stuffed if you haven't got a car. Julie Collins says, is there any legal arguments against the financial abuse argument? Any solicitors on board? Still none yet. Not yet. Well, not from my perspective. I keep ringing and I keep getting told no, and it drives me nuts. Do you know what I mean? But who knows what's happening behind the scenes? Indu seem to be Teflon coated and super protected. They had their notice of no action for the first trial, which seems to be extended and extended and extended. Hinkler's the fourth trial. Kalgoorlie's the third. Kununurra's the second. We don't know what the legalities are with these things because we can't pin a lawyer down and say, hey, there's so many issues, but they've counted every one of them. And where they've counted it is in the Protections of Payments Act under Social Security. They've exempted card holders from that law. They haven't removed that law. That's there for every other social security recipient in the country to be protected under. They haven't removed it. They just exempted card holders from it. You know what I mean? I'm just looking here. Job networks are the worst. Most of them are. Most of them. There is a couple of smaller ones that do treat people correctly. My daughter got one that was really good. Having just moved to the other side of the city, I'm hoping she'll be able to reconnect with one just as good. But I've heard most of the horror stories come from Serena Rosso and Max Employment and stuff like that. I keep my ear to the ground with all of this stuff that's happening, but as you can tell, it doesn't come onto the page because we are doing cashless debit card and we stay focused with that. Dan's talking about attention to the tent city across from Indu. Yep. Well, I wanted to go there and actually talk to people. I haven't got over there yet. Oh, I have spoken to families in the past that have been evicted because of the rent delays with Indu, and the owners have just got jack of it. Then yesterday somebody outed a real estate agent in Bundaberg that refuses to take the cashless debit card. Period. They don't take Indu for rent. Then I've heard of another one which I need to get confirmed in writing in Hervey Bay. So you've got a combination of factors happening. You've got some real estate agencies won't allow people on the Indu card. That's because owners are saying no more. They have to pay their rents. You know what I mean? On time for their mortgages, and because of all the delays with Indu, they were copping default fees for that. You know what I mean? And they're not putting up with it. So, somebody else here says, your description of financial apartheid is absolutely correct. And while the government keep pushing and passing through legislation under the radar, we are fighting a stealth enemy. Yeah, if real estate agents don't accept the card, then scrap the card. Well, there's lots of reasons to scrap the card, isn't there? You only got to look at the submissions. There was only 6 vested interests supporting the card. Every other submission to the Senate inquiries, as usual, was against the card. You know, so I would say Daniel Waters says business don't want the card scrap. I would say big business, because, you know, there's a lot in this for Woolies, Coles and Aldi, because it's working on the old 17th century miners' tokens system, where you would work for the miner, you would get paid in tokens, and you could only spend your tokens at the miner's shop, which this is the same thing but on a bigger scale. You know what I mean? You could be working for Woolies, Coles or Aldi part-time, still be on the card. You get, you know, yeah, you get your pittance of your wages, but you can only spend it back at their store. Script, that's it. That was the name I was trying to think of. It's based on Script. And, of course, it comes out of the mind of a mining magnate, doesn't it? What did he use, or his family use, to get rich? Slavery and Script. You know? Simple as that. Now, a lot of small businesses are being pushed out. Yeah. So, I'm just looking at the comments. You know, a lot of businesses need to say no as well, but we tried to educate them. We couldn't, so we leave them be. But unfortunately, in like, especially in like Ceduna and Kalgoorlie, we've heard stories of lots of empty shops. Lots of shops are closed down. So, anyway, I might wrap this up. I'm just looking at the other comments here. I mean, basically, it funnels money to multinational businesses that pay lower taxes, keep wages down, screw over the farmers, right? And don't benefit your community in the same way that having your cash flow through your community supports community events. It supports so much more, you know what I mean? And yeah, schools and fates and charities and all that sort of stuff. So Dan says best way is to vote LNP out. Yep, take One Nation with them at the same time, so they can keep their bigotry to themselves. So Jules says, reason that I've asked about the transport on average for folks in the region on the card, does it stop people from complying with Centrelink requirements? Pointless training courses, work for the dollar, or ability to travel to TAFEs and education? Well, it could do, yeah. Another barrier that's put in their place is they don't have the cash. So, yep, it would impact on their ability to be able to get to job agencies or courses and stuff like that. Of course, that is going to have a problem, you know. So, it's a barrier to getting housing, and it's a barrier to using public transport. So, set up an exclusive club and see who it attracts. I dread to think. Oh, yeah, I dread to think. I still don't get how someone hasn't put a motion of no confidence in this shitty LNP to get rid of them and start with a new cast, because it's no point, because at the moment they hold the numbers in the House of Representatives and the Senate, because they're backed up with One Nation. You know what I mean? So putting forward a motion of no confidence at the moment would just get voted down, because One Nation will stand by their masters no matter what. I can't see Pauline Hanson voting against them. She's voted for every negative policy that's been imposed on Australians since they got in. So she votes something like 87% of the time with the LNP. Yeah. Says it all, doesn't it? So Judy Collins says, can't the GG do it? The GG is LNP. Alright. Doesn't seem to do anything, as from what I can see. Governor General just seems to be a title now. Now, Dan, that's not the time to do that. Right. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm pretty tired. It's been a good chat. I'll come on again sometime. I'll advertise it once, and so we have more people where I can follow comments and answer questions. I will. Who's supposed to be impartial? Julie? Yeah. Could be newsworthy article if it's provable it's stopping people from being able to get to TAFE or education to be able to get the qualifications to get a job. The card has actually stopped people from... Julie, the card has actually... I know of one university student that had to give up a scholarship in Perth, IT engineering, because he was put onto the card and couldn't live in Perth on the card and got so depressed, right? Because you still can't buy second-hand textbooks, couldn't use public transport, and was expected to live on $27 a fortnight in cash in Perth, right? Yes, Nikki, no stethoscopes for those Bachelor of Nursing degrees when you're doing your prac either, because you're not allowed to buy from Medishop. Because heaven forbid, as the woman was told, because she was racially profiled over the phone, you might buy hand sanitizer and drink it. Seriously? That was the excuse given to not allowing a nursing student who was doing Bachelor of Nursing to be able to buy a stethoscope and a nurse's pouch. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll say goodnight to you guys and take care of yourselves, and we'll just keep putting up our stuff and doing the best we can. See ya.